slip wide. And for a second time, Taylor Fritz has picked up this tiebreak 10s title, this time alongside Elena Rybakina, who has picked it up for the first time. What a night's tennis it's been.
Welcome, everybody, to the post-event show. Gill with Alex Gruskin breaking down the 2025 edition of the tiebreak 10s at Indian Wells, the Eisenhower Cup. From as many angles as we possibly can, it was so fun as always. 2 hours, action-packed, a star-riddled field as always. And in the end, it's Taylor Fritz and Elena Rybakina coming away with the title, the $200,000 prize. And of course, a lot of money also to charity and the local Coachella Valley charities. But Gruskin, second point between Rybakina and Fritz, and they come out in the I form. And that's kind of when you knew, like, oh my goodness. If they're going I form right away, they mean business.
No, this is why you love this sport. 7 matches, just about 2 hours, $200,000 on the line. And the seriousness with which all of these players treated every moment in this match. Yeah, there were 1 or 2, I'm going to try and take your head off, and I'm thinking of Taylor Fritz, Ben Shelton, fun exchange between them, of course. And we were allowed, of course, that sort of fun on every point. But there was a seriousness to that fun as well. There was an intent in every shot, every decision made. And again, the energy, the enthusiasm, the willingness of these players to be so vocal throughout and participate with the crew on scene. It was another awesome display of tiebreak 10s. Gets you really excited for the new mixed doubles at the U.S. Open, just that it's going to have a featured week. But a great night for tennis, a great start to this new Indian Wells. New 2025 Indian Wells. You get what I'm saying.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's a great way to kick off the event and kind of get everyone's appetites.
Packed house.
It's the pacing of it that is part of what makes it so fun, and the personality driven kind of style where you have everybody on court reacting to each other's matches, and the constant interviewing on the broadcast, of course, as well. From a tennis standpoint, Rybakina and Fritz, that's the best serving team in the field easily. And they served the lights out. Like, could anybody touch Rybakina or Fritz's serve the entire night? It felt like no.
No, I mean, they were so good. I think they were even 3-0 at rock, paper, scissors. Like, just from the start, they were on top of
you like
every
that?
team.
I love that to decide.
Dude, I'm not trying to make this a me thing, but, you know, anytime you do a show, it's going to become a me thing. I have pleaded with college tennis coaches for half a decade now. Coaches play rock, paper, scissors at the start of every match. Just get the fans involved, and then whoever wins as coach, you can decide the serving arrangement on every court. Because I love it. Like, why toss a coin when you can have these two people competing from the start? And, like, it's just a fun tone to set. And, again, only a serial killer says rock, paper, scissors, boom. Like, I don't know a single person who didn't grow up playing rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Like, that's Cold War era from Andrew Krasny there, our dear friend. But yeah, like, it was awesome. It was a fantastic tone from start to finish.
If you're watching the post-event show right now, we appreciate you, which is why I'm going to give you a little secret. I've actually done some heavy research on rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, when Tennis Abstract has a stat on the conversion rate, that's when we've made it.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, the smartest move is paper. Statistically, most people do rock. So I'm just telling you that, again, this is exclusive because we appreciate our viewers right now. Everybody should do paper. All right.
Tails always fails. Tails never fails. I don't know what to tell. I was always a heads guy in heads or tails. I'm not going to give away my strategy in rock, paper, scissors. I like to think I'm pretty good at it.
Another thing, that kind of struck me while we're on the topic of just setting up the matches and thinking about Rybakina and Fritz and how well they played, how well they served. Elena's like almost Taylor's height. And the listing I think is like 6'1". I was kind of struck at how close together they were in height. So again, size and doubles, right? You get the serving advantage. You cover the net. They were both very good about getting their nose on top of the net, which is something that I think sometimes the singles players just aren't used to. I thought Maddie Keys got caught a few times just too far away, and she wasn't quite as active at the net. when you have players like Daniil Medvedev out there who don't play a lot of doubles, you can see some of those things. But both of them just looked so natural and so solid.
Yeah, I mean, what were their scores? 10-4, 10-6, 10-4. It was
Incredible.
comfortable. And again, they didn't lose more than 2 points on serve the entire night. I have never accused Taylor Fritz of being the best volleyer, but you're exactly right from a positioning standpoint. He was where he needed to be. Rybakina finished everything at the net. And if you were to, I know this might be a little premature in getting into it, but from an MVP perspective, like that's the most important thing. She held serve every time, and when the ball was shoulder height, she finished the volley. That's doubles in a nutshell. And when the level's going to be this high, look, there was only a handful of points that were extended past 5, 6 shots on the night, and that's because the level was so high. And it's just like they had the cheat code. They had 2 first serves that were going to get them an easy volley every time.
I think Taylor is actually a pretty solid volleyer when he's there.
Yeah.
I think it's actually the transition forward that he struggles with.
I'm glad that we can talk this serious about tactics, by the way, coming out of this. That speaks to, like, you're not wrong. His hands are ready. Like, when Tommy tried to eliminate him, when Ben went for the assassination, he was like, "No, that's cute, but my hands are up. I'm ready."
All right, so I want to kind of hit on the teams, but first let's go through some of these categories. First thing we have to do is crown an MVP, Gruskin. So who was your most valuable player?
I have 2 nominations. I think I made the case for Rybakina there already. Again, just her serve was the most valuable thing, I think, on the night. And again, it's an easy case to make. The other one has to be Mark Petchey. Like, because it's not just one interview he had to do tonight. It was countless interviews while also trying to steer the ship of a broadcast and understanding, like, look, we're going to talk over the tennis. Come on, let's have some fun tonight. We can talk to top 10 players in the world. We want to pick their experience and hear from them. And there were so many different exchanges, a category we'll talk about later, but everything, Bolter Dimenauer, Medvedev talking serves, Paulini, and just, again, all these different moments with these players. It was fun to hear from them. I thought he did a great job keeping things loose for them, having fun with them. Like, Mark Petchey did an excellent, that's what made it such a fun fan experience at home, is good tennis and interesting at all moments. And that's a credit to Petchey. I thought steered the ship incredibly.
No dead time, right? No dead air.
Exactly.
Like every second is filled with entertainment, which is something that, like, I'm lucky enough to have followed Petchey's work for a long time and also have conversations with him behind the scenes. This is something that he's personally very passionate about. Just to eliminate some of the dead air that we get in traditional tennis and to fill it with something more exciting. So that's a great shout by you. Of course, the entire broadcast crew, Coco Vandeweghe, Krasny, Andrew Krasny, as well, along with Mark Petchey. Razzle dazzle. I like it. Okay, so MVP, no disagreements. Look, Fritz served incredibly well.
Was great.
Also, but the man, you expect that more out of, like, if you look at the distance between Rybakina and maybe the other women, it might be a little bit wider than Fritz and some of the other men. Like, for example, Shelton served awesome as well with his kick serve in these positions.
Exactly it. And it made sense that Keys and Rybakina were the 2 finalists. They had the 2 biggest serves of anyone in the field. Like,
how about Keys from the back of the court?
Oh, are we? Well, that's my moment of the night. It's also probably the best point of the night. So yes, my answer to you is yes in this moment. It was exceptional.
Really? Okay, I think I have a different pick for moment of the night. So go ahead and give your pitch for moment of the night.
So I go with that forehand exchange you were alluding to, Casper Ruud versus Madison Keys.
This is the rally we want to see.
Go on, Maddie. Yes, Maddie.
Oh.
Yes!
And what made that moment so perfect is it encompassed all of the best character traits of tonight. Is not only did you have 2 of the best players in the world, particularly 2 players of different genders, just showing you, hey, elite tennis is elite tennis. It doesn't matter who's swinging. Casper Ruud, as Alex Dimenauer is talking you through the revolutions on his forehand, while Katie Bolter's explaining the heaviness of Madison Keys' ball, and Petchey's kind of poking the needle between the 2 of them, as Katie Bolter is very clearly very partisan towards Madison Keys, wanting to see her win that exchange. And she wins the exchange. And, again, statistics get floated around all the time. Well, Madison Keys hits the ball heavier than a bunch of men. And it can get scoffed at until you see it in practice, like you did in that match. And so that's why, to me, it's the moment of the night, because it's everything you want to just be like, here, watch this. Like, shut up. Let's watch. And then you have, again, the excellence of Dimmenauer, Bolter, having fun with it, Pecci perfectly stirring the pot. Like, that to me was the moment of the night.
Yeah.
That's what and it was early, so I was like, I'm watching the rest of this.
I love that pick. Again, deuce side, forehand to forehand, baseline to baseline, Madison Keys against Casper Ruud, and Keys comes out on top. And I thought Katie kind of made it, because you could tell that Katie was like, get him. And, she was so happy that Keys won the cross court. Like, she obviously, she just wants Maddie's talent to be showcased, and she knows what a long way it goes when people can see her beat not just a dude. We're talking Casper Ruud. It's a top 5 forehand in the world. So for her to win that was incredible.
A top 5 forehand, according to Alex Dimmenauer, who said it like 17 seconds before the exchange unfolded. It was the moment of the night. And again, it was match number 4, I guess, of the quarterfinals. But if that's when the moment you're like, well, I'm definitely watching the rest of this.
Let me give you my best shot pick, and then I'll go with my best moment. This also came early. It's Shelton playing with Emma Navarro. And he's like 5 feet behind the baseline, maybe 7 feet behind the baseline. And he just hits a forehand directly at Dimmenauer. This is the worst decision in the world. This is just wrong. Like, you don't hit the forehand at the net player when you're 7 feet behind the baseline. There is so much pace on this forehand. I literally think it may have gone through Alex's throat. Like, I think the ball might have gone through the throat of his racket. Yeah. I don't know. We didn't see the replay, but it definitely went in some capacity right through Dimmenauer. For someone to hit a forehand that hard to get away with that decision was, to me, the shot of the night.
Also love that it came up on the broadcast and someone's like, do we have ELC tonight? And they're like, no, they told us at the net, no ELC. And so it's like, oh, or no VAR or whatever. And so it was like, okay, good to know. That was on my nominees of best shots, best moments. For me, I ultimately went with the Shelton Navarro, Dimmenauer Bolter match point.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, good return in play. He's going to rip it. Oh. 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 No way. Okay.
Oh, that is absolutely phenomenal.
What a way to end it.
With the quick hands, the lob, all of it. Just that finally it felt like we were getting some drama playing out. That 10-7 match was the closest of that first segment, the quarterfinal round. But yeah, like, Ben makes magic happen. It's why he's always great in events like these, and just how fun. Again, it's the fact that everyone embraced what this event is supposed to be. That's what made it so fun tonight.
No, that's so true about Ben. And this has come out, I think, in the past when he's played similar, like events. He has a bit of a professional wrestler skill set in him.
He's an entertainer too.
Yeah, he knows how to work a crowd.
Yeah,
he knows how to talk some crap also. And like, I think that adds to this as well. Like, he loves that part of it.
Or when Tommy is stripping courtside while he's trying to serve out the tiebreak, he's like, "Come on, man! Like, what are we doing here?" Like,
that's my moment of the night. So, Tommy Paul, this is how you know a guy has attraction appeal.
Or, as Krasny would say, Riz, which was also a nominee for moment of the night.
Tommy Paul is in a tracksuit, okay? And he literally he strips his tracksuit to reveal a shirt and shorts. Okay. And the crowd is so enamored and just intoxicated by the sight of Tommy Paul that they cannot contain themselves. They cannot watch the guy take off a tracksuit to reveal a t-shirt and shorts without losing their mind and interrupting the match.
Well, that's a credit to Ben too for selling them on, being like, "Hey, I have something I can work with here. I'm gonna do that." And yeah, it was perfect all the way through. Also, credit to Tommy. Already had the crowd's attention with his huge night for me and win #1 for him at Indian Wells. That was really funny and just again speak to the embracing of this moment. It belongs on the list of nominees. I think the Rude Keys exchange is still the winner for me,
Yeah.
and we'll leave it up to the people watching this show to decide who made the better case. But yeah, like you can pick a bunch of different moments. It was the perfect way to kick off an event.
Yeah, I'm into it. Okay, we can't keep it all positive though. We gotta give out one negative award. Uh, Worst chemistry. Like which team to you just it didn't work? You weren't feeling it. It wasn't connecting.
I mean, it's hard not to say Medvedev and Nisimova because they just went down so fast and it was never coming back for them. Even when Medvedev finally started moving, you're like, yeah, but it's 8-3. And Anisimova, to her credit, was very much like, yeah, it wasn't good. It just wasn't a good night for me tonight. Which is very funny. It's just the easy pick. Like, I mean, pick Demonauer Bolter if you want. They're engaged, so no. Paulini and Musetti, all you had to do was listen to them in the interview booth together, and you're like, no, these two are awesome. Check. I mean, Sakari. Look, I watched this too closely. I'm like going through all the words. Yeah.
No, it's okay. Sakura Rude, I had some concerns coming in. Like I was thinking, are they too nice?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. That's so funny. That's exactly the take. Like listening to them, it's like, no, like Pesci's kind of asking you, like, no, who sucked tonight? Like, what happened out there? And like, throw someone under the bus. And it was just like, no, he's a great guy. And it again, a little too much golf talk. Anyways, yes, I agree.
You agree that they're too nice?
Yeah, that was a good take.
Yeah, I gave worst chemistry to Anisimova Medvedev though. They did lose 10-4. It was probably the most like swift exit.
Discussion on who should play doubles, and we're in the locker room or our like lounge discussing, and Daniil just like slowly like vanishes out of the far into a corner. He doesn't even want to take part of the conversation.
Although there were some others in the first round, but it seemed like they didn't fully connect on an emotional and competitive level, despite both individually being such terrific players. Anisimova having quite the interesting like laid back, chill sort of presence, and then I just don't know if that partnership was ever firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, it was tweeted out like 45 minutes ago. They were obviously the swap for Tsitsipas Badosa. So
Right.
we're going to give them a pass. I'll give them the mulligan, and I'll go with Ruud Sakari just to be different. But again, there was a baseline chemistry, and even Anisimova and Medvedev, you could tell they were having some fun by the end. It just took a second.
The last one I want to go over before we get just into the results straight up is best interview. I think I know where you're going to go with this one. What do you got for me?
There are a lot of good moments. I really liked Coco's question to Fritz of like, hey, what happened when you tried to hit that forehand at Ben? And the moment you do ask a question like that to Taylor, that's where he thrives because he just can't help it to be like, yeah, he was going to do the same thing to me. So of course I had to hit a ball at him. And that's just Taylor Fritz in a nutshell. And to get to see that competitive side, even in an event like this, where it's still just playing 210, but again, the seriousness, he just can't hide it at all times. A match can be 6 minutes. You're still going to get the best of Taylor Fritz. But it has to be Demonauer Bolter in the booth with Patch. Like, just too many different moments I could pick from. Obviously, that Keys, rude forehand exchange. Who's the boss on, off court. Great question to Demon. When Petch asked Demonauer about his scheduling, and Katie Bolter goes, "That's a great question." Another low-key nominee.
No, she goes, great question, that. I mean, so essentially what happened for anybody who didn't catch it, Demonor has won Acapulco the last 2 years, but he didn't play it this year. And Mark said, why didn't you play Acapulco this year? And Katie jumps in and she goes, great question, that, as if to say, yeah, like, why didn't he play Acapulco? That was questionable.
Yeah, I mean, again, if it's leaked to Axios, like what the meeting was when Alex Demonauer was doing his scheduling, there will be sources say the Bolter camp was pushing for him to go to Acapulco. Like, it was fun.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, look, they had some really good insight. Demonor was very thoughtful about playing Casper Ruud. Katie was actively just rooting for both women against the men. Like, that was clearly like the way she was consuming the match, which was pretty funny. And I also noticed they were reacting to the points like seasoned commentators. Like the way Alex would come in and just be like, stop it. I just loved the way they were actually highlighting the action on the court. So that's my pick. I think
it's the right pick.
A pretty illuminating. Yeah, I mean, they've been great together before, like individually. They're both really good press conferences. Demonor can be pretty serious, though. And like, I don't want to say low energy, but he can be like, again, just serious, a serious guy. And I think Katie like turns on the funny switch in Alex, and it's magic. So you love to see it. Let's run through the results real quick. And of course, you can watch the replay of the entire event up on YouTube. Swiatek over Hurkacz 10-6. Sorry, Swiatek and Hurkacz over Paolini Musetti 10-6. Interrupt me if you want to just get some thoughts in on any of these teams, Gruskin. I'm just going to go through the quarterfinals. You had Rybakina and Fritz taking out Anisimova and Medvedev 10-4. That was the most lopsided of the quarterfinals. Keys and Paul took out Sakari Ruud 10-6. And then you had Navarro Shelton beating Bolter Demonor 10-7. Navarro Shelton were the defending champions. They ended up falling in the semifinal to Shelton and Navarro.
To Fritz and Rybakina.
Yeah, Keys and Rybakina. Oh,
Fritz and Rybakina.
I wrote Keys and Rybakina in my notes, so that's what went wrong there.
No, and just to interject here, the real struggle is, like, you could tell a couple, Paolini and Musetti, slow start. Ruud Sakari, slow start. Medvedev and Anisimova, I don't know if they ever got started. That's the kiss of death in a format like this. And it's a credit to all the teams you mentioned, Shelton, Rybakina, Fritz, Keys, Hurkacz, like, to have those big serves you can just turn to so easily right away. That was the difference in the quarterfinals. There was a moment there where I thought we were going to get an Iga takeover. Didn't quite get that. But coming out of the quarterfinals, I was like, oh man, I forgot how good Iga is in this format when she'll just lace a backhand and you're not expecting it.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why we picked we both picked Iga and Hubie to win the event. I thought the first semifinal one, Keys Paul taking on Swiatek Hurkacz, was probably the best match of the night. Ended up being 9-8, second serve at 9-8 match point. And Tommy Paul had like a pretty comfortable forehand. Hurkacz tried to poach and ended up with a stretch volley out of his range, and he couldn't make the volley. Not a great ball to poach on, but you had that nail-biting sort of finish there. And they were so impressive because Keys makes so much happen from the back. And Tommy Paul at the net really impressed me. I thought he was active, and I thought he was doing great stuff with his volleys when he got there.
I almost texted you, I'm picking Paul Keys. To your point exactly, coming off of that semifinal. I thought that was actually the highest level we saw, excluding Fritz Rybakina serving, where you almost didn't even get to see a level from their opponents. Yeah, that was certainly the best of the match. There were a couple of gets from from Swiatek where you're like, oh, the fluidity. It's just crazy. I disagree. I liked the Hurkacz poach. I like all movement in mixed doubles, just trying
It was
to.
it was too easy a forehand. It was a comfortable forehand for Tommy, and I just don't think you're going to get a good look off of that ball.
You're not wrong with how hard these guys hit. Like, I see your point, but because he had so much time, you have enough time to make a real move. You have enough time, especially like at 6-6, like something neither you and I can imagine. But you're like, oh, all I need is an extra half second. Now I can cover everything. And I see that thought process for Hurkacz, but I also see your point. Tough to ask for an easy first volley when Tommy has that sort of time.
Yeah. Obviously, in the final, it was, Fritz hitting back-to-back aces early to go up 3-0. Some, bad positioning from Maddie at the net created one mini break where she was too far back, missed a backhand volley off of a Rybakina backhand. Service winners from Rybakina and Fritz just throughout this final. Keys had an opening on a down-the-line forehand, missed it just long, which I thought might have been a bit of a dagger. There was a really unreal point where the best point of the final where Paul hit a reflex volley, ended up getting lobbed. Then there was a drop shot dug out by Rybakina, and another volley mistake by Keys where she just took too big a swing on the backhand volley, ended up catching it late and missing wide. So, just those obviously tight margins in this tiebreak tens format, and a couple of mistakes from Maddie at the net, along with the big serving of Fritz and Rybakina. But I also want to hammer home something we kind of touched on. I think it's worth going even further into. Taylor Fritz is so competitive. It's the first thing everybody talks about with Taylor. Anybody who knows him says he just competes his butt off no matter what you're doing with him. And that's one of the reasons why they were always a good bet to win this thing, because he's going to go at you, and he's not going to play 90%. He's going to play 100% at all times. So I thought that came out as well. And Rybakina was happy to meet him there.
Well, that's why, in my opinion, you mentioned the extended point that Keys misses that inside-out backhand volley, floats it a little bit wide. That, to me, was the dagger for 8-4. Because, yes, they were down 7-4, but they were serving 4-7, 2 on serve, 2 on Maddie Keys' serve, which, honestly, I like that configuration better because you get Tommy at the net and the strength of the Keys serve. And they had a long point there. You win that one. Now you feel like, okay, we've got some wind behind our sails. It's 5-7. Like, we're going to have a look. We will get ourselves a chance at a look. And to lose that long point the way that they did as well, after playing some great defense, Tommy scrambling to get back in the point, Maddie good hands at the net to extend the point. That, to me, was the dagger, even more so than the Keys, to your point, at 4-6, missing that forehand line a little bit long like she did when the space might have been there.
It was great to see Maddie back in action. Her first competitive ball since the Australian Open. The crowd responded. I was so happy to see that. It's something that I'm really excited for. Look, I don't know if Keys is gonna have an incredible remainder of 2025, like where she's turned a corner, or if she's gonna just go back to what she's been throughout her career, which is a top 20 player, but not necessarily a world beater week in, week out. I don't know. Regardless, I'm so excited for her to take this victory lap in the United States. This was the start of that, and the crowd inside Stadium 2 recognized that and gave Maddie her flowers, which was awesome. One of my big takeaways from the night. So again, the 13th edition of Tiebreak Tens, the 5th edition of the Eisenhower Cup at Indian Wells, $200,000 split between Taylor Fritz and Elena Rybakina. All ticket sales going to the Coachella Valley Charities. It was a packed Stadium 2. We saw just some fantastic points, some tremendous moments, some quotable and memorable interviews. And hopefully we see much more of this on a much more regular basis across the tour next year, because it is something that is a really, really awesome product. Hope everybody enjoyed this post-match show. On behalf of my co-host Alex Gruskin. I'm Gill Gross. Thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you next time.